Okay, anybody want to do? Sometimes it's a little slow. All right, thank you. Okay, then we're gonna get started. I have 5 o'clock. Okay, we'd like to welcome you. This is a citizens committee. We have no power. We don't get paid. But we try to do a good job for the citizens. Because we are. So, we would like to have a meeting that's respectful, where everybody's be respectful of the other side, listen to each side. We're gonna try to give each side fair time to each side to make that point. I think I need to maybe kind of give a background of where we are so we know. Okay, what we're going to do is, if there's a case of some explanations for something, we'll try to answer that. But right now, just to get started, what I want to do is kind of set the stage, tell the history of where we are, how we got there, and what we see, what we need to resolve. I hope at some point that there's a compromise on both sides, where both sides can go away not completely happy, but not completely angry that we didn't resolve some of the main issues. So I'm gonna take a few minutes, if you don't mind, kind of explaining what I see the problem to be. Okay, this is a map of the zoning map of the city. I don't remember what year. You don't remember what year we started zoning? In 2003, 2004. Okay. And of course, this subdivision is one of the first subdivisions, along with it was part of the Clark property, and then across the street on the other side, where the Episcopal Church is, was the Anderson property. Most of the people that own property in this area these were the people that moved out of the campus homes back in the, I would say, 60s, somewhere 50s, 60s, somewhere in there. Okay. We were all neighbors, we've been knowing each other for a long time, and we want to remain being friendly neighbors to each other. Okay. So the problem with when we got ready to do the zoning, most of the things in here was already established because they were large lots, and the lots were large for two reasons. One was, there was no accommodations when we moved off the campus. The citizens got together and started a water district and put in the plumbing lines. There was no sewage. Okay. And of course, everybody had a septic tank, and then when we got to this point that we put in the sewage line, they asked everybody to take the septic tanks out. So, as I said, these were the pioneers of the city. This was the forerunner before we had the city. Now, in the street that we're looking at is Clark Street and Santee Street. That's the property here, and on this side is Owens Road, that lot. And there's some unusual zoning in this area. A lot of them are subdivisions with restrictions, like you see in most cities, and you can't build anything but residential house. Over here, what happened when they put together the zoning map, they had to go back and kind of zone it for what was there. And what you had was the zone R3 in the brown. Usually both sides of the street is the same thing. Over here, it's not like that. So on this side is R3, and for the sake of this meeting, the R3 over here is not a part of what happens over here. Just go around like that. That's all. Okay, so right now, this is single-family residential, and there's a change over here that they're asking for, and it is sort of isolated. Now, if you build anything that faces this street, in this subdivision, it should be R1. It's R1 on the other side, but it's in the flux of change. And we think Santee is something that's flexible. If you have the residential housing on the street, the corner lots, if they face the other street, can change. That's a possibility. Okay. Now, with this kind of development, it's very important, and I'm hoping that they'll have a map that shows all of these concerns that we're concerned with. So at this point, I just want to make sure that we have a friendly meeting, we're all neighbors, we all know each other. And so, let's see if we can get started. Okay, we're gonna ask Mr. Michael Sowers to come forward since he's proposing this, and this is his request, so I think you can present whatever you want to.
Good evening, everyone.
So let's try to limit it to I want to say 3 minutes, but if you need some more, then we can come back and talk. But I don't want anybody to talk more than 2 or 3 minutes. If we can avoid it, we can let you talk more than once. Come on up. Don't want to give a seat. Roland is on the committee. He's also a member of the council. Brown, okay, thanks. Okay, go ahead.
To the board, thank you to every citizens of Prairie View. What I'm proposing is to put a multifamily complex in on 3.2 acres that I have at the corner of Orange Road and Santee Road. And I've come before the board, this is the second time now this year, and asking that it can be changed from R1 to R3, which is multifamily, okay? And some of the factors here, as Mr. Brown was showing you, on the front side, it's R1, and most of the houses still in this area are still rental property, or they've been, at this particular point, Ms. Wolfock is no longer in her house. I'm not really sure about Ms. Woods. I've been told Ms. Woods is not in hers.
She is.
She is? Okay. Like I said, I was told she wasn't. Across the street, Prairie View A&M is putting a commercial building that will be sort of a strip center, funplex, and everything else along Orange Road. Back from Clark Street south, everything over to Echo Street is multifamily, which is R3. The whole area. So if you walk out in front of Clark Street and look south, all the way as far as you can see is R3. And most of the homes that were there during the day are now rental property, or apartments were put on this side. I'm asking for the corner here to fall more incline of the subdivision to be put R3, so we could put apartments there. And it would be fitting as far as the campus, the new complex, and what we feel like is gonna go on down Owens Road. So I'm asking the board to look at it and look at the neighborhood and look what we have here and see that this could be zoned in R3. I do have some, in your packet there, I do have some pictures, some drawings. I also have, for anybody that wants to see, a board here of what we're proposing to put up. Now, this particular one, you were concerned about, and I'm sure the Davises are also, that we're talking about a fence down on this end, and also landscaping, so it won't be anything directly that you see, and also a buffer zone, okay? And it is plenty room between the house and 3.2 acres.
Where is Clark Street on that map?
Clark Street is on, right here, down on this end, okay? Now, this is Orange Road here, Santee Street here.
So north is two, stop.
Yes, okay? And we're talking about putting landscaping on that end also. So this would be a buffer zone and something that I think everybody would be proud of to look at and part of this community. And I don't think it would be on either side anything that anybody here would be ashamed of to see. Now, keep in mind, on Orange Road, right across the street, you have a commercial building that's going up. So if it's anything that traffic or anything else, it's going to be there. You can't stop it, it's coming.
Can you tell us, how many, units you have, what are the young people that will live here, and also, parking spaces?
Right now, it's 204, 205 parking spaces, it's 103 units. And that number could go down, could go, whatever the configuration we do here.
You have a layout that shows the parking situation, and where are you intending to start?
In your, from Santee Street.
Santee?
Yes. Now, depending on the board, if that needed to be changed and go on to Orange, we could look into that also. But,
couple of things. How far is the Davis house from the property line? That's number one. Do you know how far the
I do
Davis?
not know, I cannot answer that.
Okay,
So can you show us that on the Google map?
all right.
On the Google map, I had a computer I could run it. That's no one's, that's just the fence there.
You want it about-
If you're looking here on this drawing here, which you have one in, I still cannot answer you how far, but that's where I was saying we could change.
That is the house that's on the map.
It, right there is the house,
Okay.
okay, and that's the house next to it, and this is, Ms. Fontenot's house here.
And then how far are you from the property line? That right adjacent to
First,
Davis?
the first building's about 40 feet back. That would be the driveways, the parking, and the sidewalk.
Do you have, windows on that side of the apartment building?
On this side,
Can you
no.
look over into the background?
No, on this side, no, forward and back, front. So you have windows that would go to Clark Street and windows that would go to Orange Road.
Any other questions?
No, but I think it's very important that we know how far this property is from the houses that are already there.
Okay, for Miss, and I do know this, for Miss Wood's house, it's right at 200 feet. I know that's not what you asked me, but I do know
Yeah,
for Miss
I'm
Wood's
saying
house.
for everybody,
Right.
because that will let us know how the noise is.
Tell us on both sides of the street,
I will.
including on Orange Road, how far you are from the closest house,
Okay?
approximately. Is that on the map?
No, I would have to pull it up and do it.
Well, if we look at the Google map at the bottom of the screen.
No, it's not, it's no legend there or anything.
No, I'm talking about, we can see,
Oh,
a building at this point right here.
this is the Davis house.
Yeah, right, so what is that?
This is, that's the 1.5 acres, that's that slab there.
Oh,
This
okay,
would
that's
be-
the slab where the
right.
house used to be.
Right,
Okay. And this is a house,
that is Mosley's house.
all right, and so you got some vacant spaces in here,
Right,
buffer this from the other house.
yes.
Okay, and so our biggest concern is what happens over here, how can you be a friendly neighbor in that? That's what it is.
And if we propose a fence where you can't see and landscaping, that we're talking about.
How tall is it?
We can make the fence 5 to 6 foot.
So a three-story building would be taller than the fence, but that's small enough,
That's where you normally.
that's large enough to hide the cars.
Right.
You don't want instead of you don't want
You don't want to look like this person.
Well, we're not trying to, we're not
But I'm
trying
talking about if you keep going higher, you don't want to, yeah.
But is this gonna buffer the sound?
It
No.
should.
I'm sorry, no, excited. Come on, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but no, it ain't.
All right.
These properties there, will this depreciate the properties?
I don't think it, I would think it would raise it.
Okay, let's see if we can, move on. Okay, thank you. Is there any other point that you want to point out before we go?
I don't think so, no.
All right. So who's speaking for the other side? Do you want to ask, Mr. Michael Sowers any questions, or do you want to go to the comment? Who's speaking for the?
Is someone, oh, she,
No, hold on, let me see if I can ask.
no, I didn't think anybody was gonna stand up, so I moving on, she was standing up. That's all right.
It's all right, but we want to give the board a chance to ask questions or anything they want to say.
Yeah, I wanted to, hear the objections from the people as to what's going on, that's what we're getting ready to hear. She probably
Yeah, that's what
understands.
Okay, we saw it.
My name is, just stand here. My name is Carla, my husband. My name is Carla Davis White, and I am one of the daughters of Hewlett, I'm one of the daughters of Hewlett and Irene Davis, okay? And so I grew up in the Davis household that's right there next to it. We are ones that have been trying to deal with this issue since January, since we first got what happened. And we've had a long list of chain of events that occur. We're certainly glad to finally get the chance to protest this. We feel like our voice is not heard to protest this, to get this, okay? So, I know some people might want to make statements, so based on what, all due respect to the Michael Sowell, he grew up in this community as well, with the South family, and we know him as well, okay? So there's a few things I want to say. First of all, I'm going to say that I don't think there's anybody in this community, okay, that will want an apartment complex next to your house, okay? Okay. So I can just point blank just say that now. I think back in, when the first apartment complex went back next to a house, I believe it was back on where the conference lived, that was already starting to become an issue. Then when the next big, huge apartment complex came in on the street that Larry's kids lived, that then Prairie View finally realized we need to get a zoning in here place, okay? And we need to take care of this so we can provide some stability for the city. And that's really what it's about, okay? So as soon as we provide that stability, 2004, we need to keep the city stable. If you want the city to grow, you want some more homes here, you need to keep the city stable, and there's no way around that. If you put an apartment complex next to anybody's home in the city, okay, anybody coming to the city would be afraid to build a house here. Why? Because they're afraid their investment will go down, because the zoning board is not going to keep the zoning plan in 2004 intact, so they can have the insurance that their home and family is gonna be okay and safe, okay? We love the college students here, there's no haters here, but what we're talking about is the happiness of college students. And that's all we're talking about. This is a college town. R1 is for single homes and for duplexes. You know, we know that you have a chance of living with a college student close to you when you're in a duplex. It's the way it is in college town, okay? We understand that. No one's saying I'll build a duplex. But no one really wants to live close to a apartment complex. But when it was passed the first time, we did the protest, when you listen to recording, we heard someone say that a fence is a plus. So when I hear the word fence, I'm not going to preach. I'm just going to go and look at this again. Fence. Fence. We all know, no matter how much work you put around here, trees and everything else, one thing you know, you're not going to stop the noise. You got the parking lot here. The building may not be that close to the parking lot, but the parking lot is right up on the property edge. Kids are going to sit in the cars. They're going to play the loud music. They're gonna do what normal college students do, okay? And my mother, livelihood is gonna change forever. She is gonna have to stay on the phone 24/7 with her nurse, trying to get the people to call the police, turn the music down, or except we should not subject anybody in this community who's living and built a home in an R1 area for that. We one day want to come home and retire. I'm sorry, it's R1. R1 needs to stay R1. Zoning plaque needs to stay intact. We do not need to say, hey, guess what? This is gonna face this, so therefore the campus is building a bowling alley. Guess what? That means that we gonna make that R3. What happens when the campus builds something over here? We're gonna tell these folks they gotta move? Before they gotta move? I mean, what are we gonna just follow the campus everywhere? You know, the city had a plan, a strategic plan for University Drive, and they have a plan, it's a strong plan, zoning plan. Look at all this land over here that you can do multi-use. The city came together, the community came together, the students came together, came up with this plan, took a long time to come up with this plan. Why in the world are we deciding now, because one developer says, hey, I got a lot right here, and I want to put an apartment right there, okay? Why are we doing that, okay? Because one developer says, we don't allow another developer to come here and dot up our whole city with apartments all over everywhere? Or we gonna say, when it's my subdivision, I'm not gonna do it? I'm sorry. Sorry, take
Okay,
your time.
it's okay. Thank you for your comment. Anybody on the board want to say something? Okay. We've been talking about some possible areas of compromise. So I'm gonna throw it out there and then we'll see. And along Clark Street, if you have a building facing Clark Street, it has to be residential. And actually, we can't do any spot zoning unless we rezone the whole street. It's something to that effect. I'm not sure of the exact wording, but that's what we've been told in the past. We try to stay away from spot zoning. This is not truly spot zoning, but I thought that maybe there could be some residential houses built along the frontage of Clark Street. And maybe some adjustments because those are large lots. And that we would keep the scale on that street and then approve the R3 beyond that point. Now, I don't know if that will solve the problem or not, but it's a possibility.
If I'm not mistaken, on Clark Street, isn't it currently zoned? It's the same area we're referencing, isn't it currently zoned R3?
No, it's all one.
No.
It's all one.
You know, the interesting thing about all of this is that everybody is for progress. Just don't do it next to me. That's, and years ago, I put together a brochure and I had all of the nice looking homes at Prairie View. And I mean, it's a giant drawing. Today, 99% of those homes are all empty. And most of them, there are 20-some in Alta Vista. Nice looking homes grown up in grass, trees falling on other people's lots. And so there are a lot of homes out here that are available. Now, why people don't want to live in those types of homes, no, I don't know if anyone's ever made a study on that or not, but there's a nice homes at Prairie View that are vacant. I have one next to me that's been vacant 8 years, where Sergeant Lewis used to live. And the grass today is 3 feet high, you see. But the idea of the university town and students moving out and taking over and people renting houses who live in California and live in Michigan and to just let the places go down is one of the major problems that we have here, you see. Now I look at this plan and lofts of Prairie View, the building and everything, you can't beat it. Good looking. You see, but somebody told me the other day, some fella got shot up there in an apartment building and said, all we're doing is getting ready for some more of this stuff. We don't worry about what the building looks like. So you got all kinds of thoughts going in and out. But are we gonna make progress? Are we gonna just let that land sit there? Are we gonna build some more houses to become vacant and grow up in weeds? You've got all kinds of things you've got to consider. You see, and from the way it looks right now, we're not gonna get faculty people to live at Prairie View. They're going down Fairfield or Farfield, whatever you wanna call it, you see. So, I mean, the thing is, like Marshall says, there's gotta be some kind of getting together. We're gonna hurt somebody and we're gonna help somebody, but for sure, we still want to see some progress in the city of Prairie View. And in housing, if you think that you're gonna build some new houses and make a lot of progress, based on what's happened today, that's not so. It's just not gonna happen.
I know, Brian Rowland is going to speak, just make a quick comment on it. There are programs and faculty members are looking for housing, they're looking for decent housing to purchase.
Yes, I have.
Okay. The issue, I think, for instance, we were looking at one program where the federal government will pay $1,500 a month for a veteran and his family to live in a home. In fact, they can purchase a home. So there's a lot of plans on the table that will help do these kind of things. So I don't know. Let me use that.
The question I asked was about Clark Street and the side of Clark Street and Echo Street that I was talking about on this map is zoned R3. I want us to be very clear, both from, as a city councilman who, again, this process was started, say, 8 to 10 years ago as far as this map. The people who are on the committee, as far as the history on walking through where we're at today, zone this R1 because of the same concerns that you have today. If you look at Clark and Echoes, it's zone R3. If you look right next to it, it's the big R3. If you look right here, it's R2. The only piece in this whole entire piece where majority of students live at, only one piece is R1. And it was zoned that way because of what we're talking about today. Because there were community members who still lived over there, who still had homesteads there. So this didn't just, we haven't been giving away the city, this has been part of the strategic plan that you mentioned. Right now, the proposed development that we're talking about is on a portion of the R1 development. If you, around the what we're talking about, everything around that is R3.
Well, across the street, there's some single family homes.
Yeah.
No. So single-family home can be in an R3. Right now, on Clark Street, on the other side, is R3. That means if I go buy that land right next to whoever lives there right now, I can put up apartments or put up multifamily or whatever right now today. All I'm saying is right now, across the street, someone can go build the same thing and don't have to come to this body, don't have to have a conversation. I'm glad it took this to get everybody in Prairie View to come and have a meeting. We've been trying to get conversations like this for years. Half of the people don't currently reside here, which is a good thing, but the other part is, how do we,
Including yourself.
You don't need that.
we don't want to talk about the Q house. But again, this particular property that's proposed to be rezoned is something that we're here to have a conversation about. I've heard part of Mr. Sal's presentation. I've heard part of the Davis's presentation, and I'd like to hear some other concerns. We've been hearing this for the last 2 months in city council meetings. the concerns I'm hearing are concerns of, you know, again, I don't want it by my house, like, no, you know, no one wants it. But the question is, how do we compromise to get again? Majority of the people who live in the Prairie View community, the majority of the people who live in the Prairie View community, you know, we're saying, is any development a good development? And when's the last time that we've 100% agreed on a development in Prairie View that was good for everybody? And when would that come? I mean, is it, so we're saying that the only good development in Prairie View is a single family homes? Because that's all I'm hearing. But I haven't heard anyone, I haven't heard anyone help to either bring those relationships or bring the conversation to the city of Prairie View. And anyone know of any single family developers? So it's easy to say, we need single-family homes, and single-family homes is the only development. But again, to offset the cost of what people are paying in property taxes, to offset the development, to continue the infrastructure here in this community of Prairie View, how do we do that? And so that's the conversation we want to hear as far as on planning and zoning. How do we move this conversation forward as far as the tax base and the taxpayers who are here?
Let's see, so who else wants to?
My name is Karen Davis, and I'm representing the Davis family. I have a few questions about the zoning over here. As far as what I heard so far, this right here, we're saying R3, and it's R1. This is just a small portion, but this small portion, as the family, will want to keep that. And what I heard, it seemed like you're basically waiting for people to move out or die, so you can take all this over as R3. And that's not acceptable to me as a family member. And I feel as though if you have enough community and a community outcry, you should be able to keep this as R1. I don't see why we have to compromise to make that R3. I understand about development. I understand about wanting a vision for Prairie View. But I think in this type of setting or in a separate setting, you have a smaller group and you actually, if you want to rezone or look at areas, look at the whole map. But if you're trying to take this portion, I want to keep this portion as R1, as far as speaking for the family, and also I am an investor in this community as well. And so if you're an investor in the community, you want to know as far as what's the future, what's your 5-year plan, what's your 10-year plan, how do you want to grow as far as not interdispersing apartments here, you want single family here. I think you need to have a plan, but you need to get the community involved, and you need to have, I guess, educators as well from the university, and you also need to have this council, but you need more voices in here. So I feel, as far as my voice, keep it as R1.
Okay, any board members want to say anything?
I just want to say it. It's okay. Go ahead.
Just let them
Because
speak, and
it
then we'll let
just
you
gives
speak.
me headaches. Because for us
Just
to
let
have,
them speak.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Tino Fontenot. I'm speaking on behalf of Mary Fontenot and my father, Dewey Fontenot, lives on Clark Street, which is roughly right here. I was born and raised in this community for many, many years, along with the Davises here. And we're talking about growing and developing and where's Prairie View gonna go and how they get to where they need to be if we don't build this particular facility here. Can we compromise? Well, let's talk about an apartment complex that's directly behind my mother and father's property that this development company built. Does anybody know that apartment complex on Elko Street that they don't own anymore? Is anybody proud to drive up to that apartment complex today and put their child in it? Anybody? Anybody in this room, including the developers that built it, raise their hand and say, well, they put their mother and father there, or anybody in that development that's been there since I was a child, that somebody else's home that's been ran down.
Let's try to go through the facts here.
That's good. That is a fact. That is factual.
You can answer.
That is factual. It's directly behind my mother's house, mother and father's house right there. Right now, it's had a lot of crown. It's ran down. It's always been that way since I've been a child. I went out there and picked up mini trash and cut the grass myself with my brothers and my sisters to keep the property up. We say that apartments or lofts will move Prairie View up. Well, let's think about it. 40 years ago, you had administrators here. You had administrators that was teaching at Prairie View A&M University. They wanted to move in the community, and Mr. Kemp and several other people built houses. We thought back then, 40 years ago, that if we put this development here with apartments and the kids move in there, maybe that's going to prosper Prairie View. But I think everybody in this room will see today, those particular apartment complexes, when we had this idea back then that I wasn't even scratching my parents' pants then, that would be something good for the community. Well, I think that has turned out to be not the case over years.
Right.
Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that? I know the South. I went to school with them, but the reality of it is there's a lot of land in Prairie View that you can go out and buy and develop in a different area. I think Ms. Herndon has some apartments on the other side that's developing extremely well and doing well in that particular area.
My son.
Yeah, your son, I'm sorry, your son. But within this area that we're talking about, we have apartment complexes that have not done well and has become a risk to the immediate family within the neighborhood. That's a proven fact, it's there. Look at Echo Street. Is Echo Street one of the most terrible streets in Prairie View? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And would it be that way because of the renters and the young kids and all that kind of stuff doing what they need to do? I think everybody agree with that. So I don't want to wake up every day, and my mom worked real hard all day, and Mr. Kemp, you know me all day long, she's walking out and calling me, and hey, I got such and such over here beatboxing and doing all this with some apartment complex. Get another piece of land, you got money, get another piece of land, go to another side of town and build it and have some strategy about it. It don't have to be right here. Prairie View got plenty of land. Go buy something somewhere else and do that. Next to the
Hey,
university.
may I say something? May I say something, Marshall? Alta Vista.
Yeah.
Dr. Evans came and asked my grandmother that all his teachers was running out of town. See, you know part of it.
Right.
And she said, okay, well, I will sell the land right behind our houses. But we had to sacrifice. And she also had to give up the lift station for them to have places for water and stuff.
Right.
So you need to go do some research, because we have done quite a bit.
Ma'am, I've been here since 1971.
I've been here all my life.
I've been here since 71.
What I'm trying to
I
say
didn't cut the
is
apartment
we
grass and all that.
have-
Alta Vista too.
we have
I
to
didn't do that too.
sacrifice.
I understand that. I sacrificed
But you said something the other night.
it. It's the reality. It's the
Mr.
fact.
Kemp was saying Alta Vista is right.
Order, let's
It's
get some
facts.
order.
You got slumlord behind my mother and father's house. That's facts.
All right, we can understand that, it's.
Look at Alta Vista. That was a prestigious neighborhood in Prairie View. And look at it now. No teachers want to live in there.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad. We appreciate your comments and we
Thank you.
understand your
Thank you.
concerns, okay. Okay, let's do something. I think, Mr. Sowers wanted to respond. Did you want to respond to what he was saying?
He asked if, question, and I raised my hand that, yes, I would. And I think, if you go, I still own Oak Place.
Oh, yes, I have. Oh, yes, I have.
Mr. Brown, I understand the frustration here. Okay. I have my own self-frustration. I would ask that if we respect it. Because everybody in here is connected one way or the other, almost like family. Okay, we're almost like family. And what we have here, we have something that we all have been proud, and we're in here because we've been proud of it. And it's going down the tube. It's not what it used to be. Okay, and we're fighting about something to each other, and we're not doing anything to improve it. Okay, and all of our best has left. What best has left us.
That's right.
Okay? And instead of coming back to help us, okay, we come back to kick those of us that are left here. Okay? I came in '63. I chose to live at Prairie View. Okay? And I am proud of Prairie View history. And I'm talking about the university. I am not proud of our city. And they ought to be one and the same. Because Prairie View prepare people who want to be world leaders. You guys. I looked at you the other day at church. Okay? You look like somebody. You are somebody. And I can say that from the people in here. The people in here and your kids. Fun, no, you kicked me pretty hard. But when I greeted you out there, I was very complimentary, was I not?
You sure were.
Okay? When they talk about you, I smile and I laugh. Because you're a successful man. Tell him, come back and help us to build Prairie View. But that's, you know,
Getting tight on time.
you're not gonna give me equal time?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You talking about
Come
Clark
back and
Street,
help
you
us.
lying.
Huh? But you're not doing that.
How you gonna tell me what I'm not doing? You know what I own?
Come back and do it.
You don't know what I own, Mr. Sam?
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on.
Thank you. I said-
Thank you, Mr. Sal, we appreciate it. So how much time do we have, Mayor? Not much, man.
We're about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay, so we got time.
We got time for me to finish?
Let's let, Joe speak and then we'll go back.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be able to address you. I'm Joe D. Harrison. I'm on the Planning and Zoning Committee. I've been an active member in this community for a long time. I'm very respectful and appreciative of those who disagree with me. However, in this particular case, I think we're missing the big picture. And that is that this is a chance for development in our city. Every time we get ready to develop, someone stops it, okay? We have a person who is a developer who lives in our city, who is interested in our city, who would not only develop, but would follow through with this development, okay? We have someone that would improve that area from where it is now. People often say, I want development, but not next door to me. We have to do a little better than what we're doing, because if we don't get it together, someone else from outside will come in and they will develop. Let's work together. Let's see this development occur. Let's be open-minded, and let's try to make sure that it's managed and that it does happen for everyone's mutual benefit. Thank you.
I got some concerns and things that said. We had one board member that said they gave us some land, but one thing is important, they didn't put an apartment complex behind them. They built a nice subdivision behind them. That's what they gave us land for, okay? The real issue we have here is that it's not just this. Look at all this land in Prairie View. This is not TSU. We are not landlocked here, okay? It's not like there's no other places to build apartments. There's multi-use areas here. There's RR3. Do not buy land in R1, okay, and then say, hey, I want to put an apartment on it. When there's plenty of land in Purview that's multi-use. I don't understand that we're looking at this, and we're some kind of small city or large city where this is the last little land available that you got to put a house and apartment on for development. And we're going to sit up here and pretend this is, okay? This is a lot of land all around this campus, and some is already 2004 zoned for multi-use purpose and apartments. That's empty, okay? That people own. Buy it. So, make an offer. Build your nice development there, okay? Then it does not have to be by anybody's house. We don't have an issue with that. We shouldn't keep looking at this like we have to make a choice for development. We want our city to grow. We want all these kind of things. The city can grow in the areas that this city decided in 2004 that we need to grow. The city decided that. Okay? The city decided that. Okay? Why are we saying now that we're not going to stick to what the city decided? We're trying to say the folks who made that decision in 2004 are all wrong. When we got this great plan that shows that we got an area to grow in. And so if anybody comes in and say, hey, I got this in Alta Vista, guess what? I want to put an apartment complex in Alta Vista. Forget everything. It's just a few. Most of them are rented out there. Just a few people living in houses out there. So guess what? You ought to let me rezone that and put an apartment in Alta Vista. We're going to do this in every area? I mean, come on.
Okay, thank you. You're getting close to the time that you don't have to vote. I think all of us need to be conscious of something. It's not something that's gonna make everybody happy, but one thing that we cannot start out doing, nobody in here wants to see something built next to their house that's gonna interfere with their style of life. They invested a lot of money. And we just cannot pass up this opportunity to say, hey, we're going to protect the existing homes. Now, we have subdivisions in other areas that do that. Some of the subdivisions have protected ordinances to make sure that that does not happen. The people that live in this area, what happened in this area is not their fault. And all of this started, what happened to this particular area of the city, it was already there when we started zoning. Okay. And the fact that you got all of those apartments mixed in there is what destroyed Echo Street, as far as I'm concerned. I brought Echo Street down, all those apartments. So now, even though this looks good on paper, there are some concerns that I have. One is, okay, you see over into those backyards, is there a plan to do something about the sound control and what happens in those apartments, and we know what happens. And are we just going to allow, and I'm trying my best to be as neutral as possible for both sides. But at this point, we need to really take this serious and say, okay, are we ready for this? I would like to see a compromise to say, can you come back with a plan to show how the mix is going to take place? I really think to put some single family units along Clark Street and develop the rest of it is a compromise. I mean, you're not going to get as many apartments in, you're not make as much money, but I don't think it's about money. I think it's about principle, and what you do to your neighbors and how you respect the integrity of the neighborhood. Not only the history, but also, these are our friends. We all grew up with them. We all know each other. This is family. This is a family argument going on. This is not somebody from the outside versus somebody else from the outside. And we have to do what we can to look out for each other. And I know everybody's not going to be happy when they leave this room. But anyway, I don't know, we're going to have to vote pretty soon. Do we have any other comments before we vote? Okay, we got Bruce and Mr. Davis. Who else? Somebody else?
Good afternoon, I'm Bruce Davis, son of Hewlett and Irene Davis. Currently live in San Antonio. I come to Prairie View all the time. Mostly engagements on the university, recruiting students, trying to get business involved here for various things, and significant amount of success. Just on the verge of making a lot of inroads. I just want to focus on this process. And why so many people are here to want to hear kind of the outcome is because the process was done in a way that was underhanded. It lacked the transparency. It lacked integrity. And as a result of that, there is zero trust in what's going on. Zero. We have lawyers running around to try to figure out something that we should just be having conversations on. We want to have those conversations, but there should have been a community outreach on this activity long before we came together to try to figure out. There should not have been a letter going out to the people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s to try to decipher what's going on here. And then we have a meeting, and all of the people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s get this letter just like all of us get junk mail. Okay, what's junk mail, what's real? And get that like 3 days before a meeting, show up to a meeting, and then the dates change, and then that's not communicated, and only half the folks are here. That creates significant mistrust. There's a lack of integrity here. And so all of the stakeholders are here. Maybe that's a result of a desire to push ahead something, but we gotta infuse some integrity, some trust in what's going on. And because it was done how it was done, we have significant concerns with the types of neighbors that we're going to be invited into our neighborhood here. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Well, let me answer a few things. The history of this committee has been one of integrity. We pride ourselves on trying to do the right thing for the citizens. This is a citizen committee, and there is no financial interest in anybody up here. We are not responsible for mailing out the notices for the meeting. We are not responsible for what happened with the weather and why they did that. That was the reason that they did that. And so we shouldn't take anything away from this committee to say that we were at fault with that. We were not at fault with that. At the same time, I can understand, you're a person of integrity. We work with you, and we have done a lot of good things for the university and had our students and helped them with their jobs, and we appreciate it. But at the same time, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this committee has never done anything underhanded. Now, we had a notice went out for a meeting, and I understand, and I'm not going to try to answer this for the city. There was another notice that went out to say because of the weather, the meeting may be canceled. So when we got here, there was nobody sitting down. And so I'm happy that the city saw fit to go back and do this again, which is a fair thing to do, give everybody a fair chance to vote still. So the city's made an honest effort to resolve this. Now I guess we need to vote before we get out of time. I don't want to get into who said what to who. All we know is there was a notice, and they fixed it. Yeah, okay.
My name is Joyce Bryant. My grandfather was Francis G. Fry. He's memorialized on the plant, the power plant there at Prairie View. I've had links to this community for a very long time. I remember coming here during the summers and seeing my cousins and enjoying the campus. And so I built a house on Clark Street on the land that my mother was given through her grandfather. And that house right now does have my tenant in it. But I absolutely am upset with you to think that, oh, there's just tenants in there, it's nothing. No, I built this home for Prairie View. My tenant is there, I care about her and her daughters, and one day I want to come back here and retire. So no, I'm not just some absentee landlord that doesn't care about this community. So this community needs to grow along with the university, and the stability of single-family homes and R1 is what we need. I am not standing around saying, oh, I don't want it by me, I don't care, it's nothing to me. No, I actually looked at the city, I looked at the university plan, I spoke to the university, I spoke to the mayor. The mayor wrote in the letter to the editor that he adopted and followed strategic plans, the zoning plan. And so neighbor by neighbor, you came up, neighborhood by neighborhood, you came up and you made decisions on what had to be. And so I say, keep R1, R1. Build where R3 is.
I have a question. Is that the house that's built next to, Dr. and Mrs. Davis? That was built by, that's your father and Sharon Carter was you?
No.
Okay, that's your father,
I
Brian.
built the house.
Well, okay, we're the ones that were supposed to collect the rent for the house from students.
No.
Mr. Bryant, no. Stop saying that. I'm asking you.
Go up, let them know you're not a student.
Okay, I am the tenant that lives in that
I'm
house.
asking, is that, are you?
And I'm a resident, I grew up in Prairie View.
I know.
Okay.
But I'm asking you what house?
It's the Bryant house, it's right next to the Davis. It's an all brick house, all brick house. And I just want to say, I have two daughters, school-aged daughters, and they catch the bus at the end of Clark Street, right by the Santees. There are 4 single parents that have children that catch the bus at the end of that street.
I just asked her.
Oh, okay. Okay. Can I go again? Okay. So there are 4 single parents that have children that catch the bus at the end of that street. That's the only place the bus will come. I have tried and tried to get the bus to come down that street. They will not come down that street. So my concern is the safety of my children. Okay? Walking down that street. Mr. Jackson would not want his young men to go down that street by themselves and catch the bus. Sheikah would not want her children to go down that street and catch the bus. Sharita, different people, you know. You know, I know a lot of you. You would not want your children to live by possible pedophiles. Okay? And I'm going to pull the list of every resident that is in that complex and make sure there are no pedophiles in there. Okay? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, why don't you speak what you said?
No, I was just saying that you said to the audience a few minutes ago that you thought it was a good idea for them to go back and bring information as to about the noise, the fence, and the different things of whether it's going to depreciate their properties. And you dropped it. I don't know what you had planned to do, but yes, you brought it out.
Okay, so let me say this again, and I think it's the only area of compromise that we. Along Clark Street is to build some single family residence that will protect the integrity of that street. Then the rest of the property, which is still a lot of property, and they own the property next to that property on Owens Road. You decide to come back with a plan. Now, I would be happy if some of the members of the city council and members of this committee can meet with you and see if we can come up with a compromise plan that would be presented. So I don't know if you're willing to withdraw your plan.
Vote it up and down.
Okay.
Vote it up and down.
Okay. All right, we're ready for a vote.
Mike, if you don't agree with us, say it. I'll put your
Okay.
We don't agree.
That's right. Okay, so we're gonna go around and, if you vote to approve, then you voting cognize a big deal. If you say you disapprove, that means that you're voting it down, it will not be good. Keep in mind, what we're doing is, we're not making a decision. We are making a recommendation to council. The council will make the final decision. All right. Well, we just asked him, is his proposal that he presented, he said vote it up or down, that's what it was. Just decide. Okay. Who wants to?
Oh, I just wanted to make a statement. I live on Owens Road, and I don't know how far they're planning to come down, but I disagreed before when they tried to, when the Heidelberg property was supposed to have been apartments put there. And like they say, we're trying to keep it clean around here. We're having too many strange situations going on. As a matter of fact, I just want to make a point. There is a scam going on now. And I got a call on Saturday about the scam. This is just something I want the public to understand. And they're trying to beat the senior citizens in this area out of money. I got a call, this was supposed to be Publishers Clearinghouse. Their fee, they're going to give you a big sum of money, but they're going to, you pay $1,500 for delivery, so when you get that kind of mess, just ignore it, don't answer, because it's a scam.
Okay, we're getting late in time, so we want to concentrate on the issues at hand and not discuss anything other than.
You said, one of you said other land someplace. I just want to say this. We are trying, my brother rather, is trying to build someplace else, but someone is, we know who called environmental.
That would be me.
Stop us, but it won't happen. We are going to build that. They are going to.
Okay, we want to stick.
Over there, where you said the land.
We are going to stick to the issues at hand, we're out of time.
Please.
Okay, one last comment.
Get a piece of this so I can see it.
My
sister.
So you need to hear what families are protesting, okay? So you understand that it's not just the Davises. We have gotten Irene Davison family, Joyce Bryant, the Armstrong family, they're protesting this, okay? Okay, Miss Viola Woods is protesting this. The Fontenot family is protesting this. Mrs. Mary Moore is protesting this. And my understanding from New LaVon Mosley is protesting this. So we, in the ordinance, they talk about 20%. We have more than 20% of the people who live within the 200 feet radius around this property are protesting this zoning, okay? So, I mean, you have to go by your own ordinance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're ready to vote. We can go random, or we can start at the end and go around. We want to start out Joe, are you far? All right, we're gonna vote publicly. We don't have Are you for against, or you want to pass?
I'm for the proposal.
All right, 1 4. Mr. Rowland?
I'm going to, because it's a recommendation, I abstain on this.
Okay, you want to stay? Let us.
Can't do that.
All right. Ms. Kizzy. Okay, one vote against, one vote for, one abstain. Okay, Mr. Kemp.
You know, I'm for it and I'm against it.
Yeah, but in different areas.
For and against it.
That's a guess.
You hit the nail smack in the center of the head when you said there needs to be a compromise, and your solution was that of a thinking architect. And I feel like something else should be done in that position. That's why I'm for it, but I'm against it. What against on it?
Okay.
Well, what is vote?
Against.
Okay, thank you.
What's the vote?
Against.
We got 2 against, 1 for, and 1 abstain. All right, that means that we didn't vote. Okay.
Okay, I'm like Mr. Kemp there, because, I'm not quite sure what we're supposed to, how this is supposed to go, because, if we get the apartments there, what are they going to do by rezoning coming on down Orange Road? I live on Orange Road, and I'm very concerned.
You'll be next.
So, well, I will stay. Right.
You abstaining?
You want to stay, y'all have enough.
You don't know that. No, you don't. You don't know that. That's what you don't know. I know. You don't know that. He started.
You too.
They didn't involve you. Shut up, Mike. Shut me up.
It's just like the old days. I used to come down here in the summer.
We're gonna make this recommendation to council. And I'm gonna give you my opinion. It's not a category.
What's the vote?
What do you think?
What I said. Good.
State all the things.
All of,
Okay, what I think should happen under the circumstances is that we should give this back to the developer to come back and resolve the issues that we brought up. And you want us to work with you and try to make sure that everything.
yep, somebody been bothered.
That's your office.
Could you recap the vote?
All right, for the record.
Okay, can you, hold on.
Just the overall.
We got 2 people voted against, 1 person voted for, the rest abstained.
What's the recommendation?
Well, the recommendation is that we don't have a pass and vote, it's stand down. Okay? Okay, thank you. We got some more residents out in the hall. You're welcome to stay. We've got some people going to be honoring as part of the city celebration, so everybody's welcome to stay. We just need to make sure we can get the other guests in, especially the senior citizens. So we got some folks that need some assistance. If y'all can help us, we appreciate it.